We're all used to maintaining our cars, however we often neglect our roofs. In this video I'm going to show you how to easily maintain your own roof. Sometimes we call that a roof tune-up, and I'm going to show you the steps involved in doing so. The few basic concepts are going to be cleaning off the roof, cleaning off the debris, checking the entire roof field, making sure there's no missing shingles, missing ridge caps or anything like that. And the third thing is going to be sealing around the pipes, penetrations, and anything else that's going to need proactive sealing. The roof is only as strong as its weakest link, and generally the weak links on a roofing system are sealants. Sealants usually last anywhere from 2 to 10 years depending on the sealant and the quality of sealant used. So doing this once every other year is definitely a good idea. You can either hire a roofer to do it or you can do it yourself. Let me show you how.
Let's do this.
The first thing we're going to work on is this solar tube right here. This is similar to any type of pipe flashing where you have a pipe collar, pipe flashing, and a pipe coming up. As I mentioned, the first thing we want to do is clean off. Even small bits of old shingles like this, leaves, can prohibit the water from properly draining around and flowing out. If there's a bunch of clogged up debris here, it can force the water to go places that we don't want to go. Now we want to seal this joint right here. The type of sealant we're going to use is going to be depending on what's existing. Usually around these type of pipe collars, we like using an adhesive, like a caulking, as opposed to a black mastic, a tar-based material. However, if there's already tar there, we're forced to use tar. But in this case, luckily the roofer that installed this did a good job, installed the caulking, and that's what we're going to use to seal on top of it. We like using M1. This is our caulking of choice. However, I am going to be doing a video comparing the different types of adhesive on the market. But you can just use any exterior waterproofing sealant made for roofs. So we just want to spread a thin bead of caulking around. We don't want to do too much, and lightly smooth that out with our finger there. I like using gloves because this stuff is very sticky, so you don't want to use your fingers like you would while painting. You want to use a glove and just seal around that pipe, and we're going to do this for the entire perimeter of the pipe to flashing connection. Other things you'll notice on a roof is sometimes you'll have exposed fasteners on these type of flashings. What you want to do is either reseal, or in this case, this nail was never sealed. So we just want to put a dab of adhesive on here and spread it around lightly. Again, generally when using caulkings, adhesives, less is more. That's all we need to do right there. We can smooth out the edges. That's it.
Okay, next.
As I mentioned, you really have to match whatever sealant's on there. So even though we generally like using an adhesive or caulking around these pipe collars, the roofer previously used mastic. So we've got to install mastic to seal this crack cup. Generally, mastic will last a little bit longer because it is thicker and it is wider, especially if they've used a webbing in it. However, doesn't look as clean. You can see it really just looks messy. Again, we want to minimize the amount of mastic. I don't want to put mastic around this whole thing. I really just want to find that pipe collar wherever it's cracking and spread it out there. We don't want to go on too thick. Just as I mentioned before, a lot of times in these applications, less is more. We want to go on 1/8 of an inch thick, generally. And whatever you do, this is not going to look pretty. So just want to do your best to make it look as smooth as possible. So there you have it. It's not that complicated. It's kind of like putting frosting on a cake. Just smooth it out and get it done.
What else you got?
Again, when doing a roof maintenance, doing a tune-up, we're not bringing the roof up to current code. Generally on a joint like this, we would like to have installed step flashing, and if we're redoing this roof, we would definitely install step flashing and counter flashing here. But doing a tune-up just means sealing up what's currently there. So in this case, they've used some black mastic that's cracking. You can see the mastic here in the bottom is cracking. So I want to repair this and bring it up to a decent standard. You know, it's not going to be a perfectly new installed roof, but it's definitely going to be better than what's installed here. A lot of times if we try to bring that roof up to current standard, it might as well just replace the roof, and becomes so extensive that the cost of it doesn't make sense anymore. So in order to seal this up, what I'm going to do is first clean it off, get rid of this debris and dust. I'm going to prime it, put mastic, and I'm also going to use webbing here to reinforce this joint. Because it's a 90-degree joint between the metal and asphalt, that webbing is going to help stop this from cracking in the future. Using a quick dry asphalt primer will help the adhesion of the mastic to the roof and to the metal. This is not a necessary step, but in longer joints like this, in two different materials, it's always a good thing to do. Definitely doesn't hurt even in any mastic application, but anytime you have an old or dirty surface that you're trying to bond to, a quick dry primer does help. While this primer is drying, I'm going to take a few minutes real quick to cut this webbing. Not sure what the correct term is, but it's asphalt saturated fabric that's used to reinforce mastic. They sell this really at Home Depot and any other home improvement stores. Anywhere you can buy mastic, this can be found as well. Now that our primer is just about dry, we're going to start applying a thin bed of mastic. We want to go about 1/8 of an inch thick. Again, refrain from going too thick, as it'll actually encourage the mastic to crack the thicker it is. Now that we've got our initial mastic applied, what we're going to do is embed our fabric. You can just lightly push it in, and then once it's in place, use your trowel to really embed it. You want to squeeze it down so that the mastic comes kind of through the holes, and you don't want to leave any gaps. Now that I've got my fabric installed and embedded, what I want to do is put another light coat just to really skim over it and cover it, and then we'll be done with this project. So that's pretty much it for this type of joint. Again, it's not going to look pretty. Some people do put tape to make lines cleaner. I don't think it's really necessary, because whatever you do is really not going to look all that great. You can paint over it once the mastic dries, even though mastic doesn't hold paint all that well. You can also spread granules over it if you'd like. I'll show you that in another video. That's pretty much all that goes into a roof tune-up or a roof maintenance. Every roof is a little bit different. The needs of every roof is a little bit different, but again, just keep in mind, keep your roof clean, clean off all the debris. If there's larger leaf piles, definitely get rid of those. You can use a glass blower to get rid of all the small stuff. Seal around pipes and penetrations as needed. Seal between roofs, ACs, and walls if needed. And definitely make sure to keep your gutters and your downspouts clean. Gutters and downspouts are definitely one of the more proactive items on a maintenance list when it comes to roofs. So keep your gutters clean, keep your roof clean as well, and you'll definitely prolong the life of your roof.